Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ocean Outlast Expert. I hope everyone is doing great today. I know that I am. We are jumping right back on into things today. And once again, if you did miss it, we did stream this game save over on Twitch over the past couple of days. There's been a few different streams and it's kind of hard to keep up with what is what and when we've been streaming and when we've been recording. So definitely recommend going over to my Twitch. I have it linked down in the description below. And you can catch up on any of the recaps, any of the recap videos from those live streams so you can get a little bit caught up on what is going on. Now, I do obviously run through some of the items here on video, but not everything, and it's a fun time over there. So if you can make it to a live stream, highly recommend it. But the biggest thing is, once again, we did end up dying. Now, this time again, we ended up losing a lot of stuff. Now, it's for a different reason though, but it could have been a same factor that factored in the first time that we died. So if you guys remember the first time that we died, it was in a battle tower. It was on a live stream and I ended up losing everything. Now I thought it was because with the corpse mod, it spawned different corpses, and then the battle tower boss had blown it up, and then when I defeated him, it blew up the tower and then blew up my corpses. That very well could be the case, but this time I died again, and I actually died here at the base getting something set up, which we're going to go into today. But yeah, getting something set up. So I died here. I was easily able to get back over there and grab my stuff. However, half of my stuff was not there. And I don't know why that necessarily was. I have my theories. But for example, our advanced diamond sword we had lost once again. I have now remade it once again. We lost a lot of our gear up here. So I actually had made a chest plate with our jetpack attached to it. There's a way that you can do it. Let me see here. I think it's, if you look at jetpack, you just utilize this jetpack attachment plate. You got to make one of these, and you can attach it to any chest piece, I should say, which is pretty awesome. So we had done that. I had my jetpack attached to our magma armor here. I also lost our pouch. I also lost our storage remote, like just a bunch of stuff that we ended up losing. Now, my theory is that I had soulbound on a lot of those items, and that when I died, it somehow did not work well with the corpse mod, and those items were gone. Now, there is a way, if you did run into that yourselves, that you can get it back. I think it's like through maybe open blocks or something like that. There are commands if you go into enabling cheat mode to get your inventory back. But for me, I try my hardest not to use cheat mode, even in a situation like that where it's not really the most fair to us as players. But I have worked my butt off camera here for a while to get everything back to relatively normal to what it was before we died. So obviously we have our sword now, I have my remote, and I have our pouch with some items in it. So just a theory on that soulbound being the reason for it. So from now on, I'm going to try to stay away from it just to be safe. However, I should make a note that the mod pack was updated to version 52, which is awesome because now they've reincorporated the tombstone mod. There we go. Took me a second, brain fart. The tombstone mod, the coral tombstone, is now back in the pack, which is amazing. I love this mod so much, and I'm so happy that it's back. And then the corpse mod was removed, which is awesome. So you shouldn't run into any of those issues. I have not tested it myself yet, but yeah, this is awesome. So I'm so happy that that's back in here, and hopefully none of you run into that problem. But just to be safe, definitely recommend upgrading to the most recent version just to keep you safe from any issues that could come from it. Now, going off of that, we did a few miscellaneous things here in the base, just moving things around, getting things set up. Nothing too crazy, astronomical, or anything like that that would warrant any going through. I guess the only thing is, obviously, we did move this up, and then I also got a resourceful furnace up and going here. So these things are actually pretty nice, if I could spell it right. So resourceful furnace, not too hard to make. I always recommend the steel casing one. It makes it a lot quicker, and it takes a lot less resources in my eyes. I mean, some of these you need like uranium and, I mean, yeah, it just takes a lot for other things. But this thing is awesome because, as you can see, it takes in 3 different inputs at one time and smelts them over, which is pretty cool. We can actually go over here to the little description on it. So it acts like a normal furnace, but it can burn 3 items at a time, and it'll actually produce a little bit of essence each time an item is smelted, which is really, really good, and it'll collect it for you right over here on the side. The other nice thing with this is if it starts getting full up over here, you can take a tome of knowledge and put it in here, and it'll transfer. It has to be a certain amount, but it'll transfer it to the tome of knowledge and store that experience so that you can then use it on your own person, which is pretty awesome to be able to do. So definitely recommend having that. You could also export it into a tank if you wanted to store it that way, but this way then you can use it for yourself and for you know, gaining levels to put enchants or whatever you might need levels for. So we have this set up. It does take power. I have a battery in here right now helping it out, but it'll just take 3 inputs here, and then I make sure that my output is set to where I want it to go. So obviously the check mark indicates where I need it to go, and that is downwards because we have it hooked into our simple storage network. So if we come down here, obviously you can see we have it hooked in just where our Inferium furnace was before. And obviously if you use the storage import cable, just make sure it's changed to this. If you have it on the base one, it won't export anything. You have to have it on this one. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Again, nothing too crazy there. So let's get over to the big items then. So one of the big things, obviously, is what we're holding right here. So we did make this on stream. It is a drill, and they're pretty easy to make. So all you need are some Inori crystal blocks, advanced coils, drill cores, or a drill core, I should say, and then a diamantine crystal. So you know these guys you get from the atomic reconstructor with diamonds. Pretty straightforward on that. These boys, not too hard to make. A little bit of gold around basic coils, which are just some Restonia crystals, which is redstone in front of that machine, and then black quartz, which you should have by this point in time in your gameplay. And then the Inori crystals are iron blocks, so you can put an iron block in front of that reconstructor and it'll get you those. And then the drill core, it can be a little bit tricky because obviously you need more iron, you need more basic coils, you need one of these. But if you're lucky enough, you might have picked these up along your adventures out in the world. You can find these in different chests, and I definitely recommend grabbing it if you see it. In our case, that is what it was. I was able to grab it and actually had it ready for our drill. Now for ours, as you can see, it's purple because you can take a drill and you can actually color it any color that you want to, which is really cool. It's a really cool feature to it that you don't really see too often on tools. So yeah, you can make it. I think this this one is the base one, obviously, and then going to any different color, you just take that drill and you put it with that colored dye. So for us, I went with purple. I personally like purple a lot. So, and then the other thing that we did go and get on top of that are some drill speed augments. So again, not too shabby to make. You just need the Inori crystals, which is iron, Restonia crystals, which is redstone, and then a little bit of sugar. Not too bad. And then same thing with the augment for speed 2, but this time you need a cake in the middle. And then you can also get silk touch, which is pretty nice, but we don't really need silk touch, so I did not put that on there. You can get fortune on here, fortune 2, fortune 1 or fortune 2, and as you can see with fortune 2, it says it'll give you fortune 3. Now this one is a little bit more tricky to get. You need ender casings and empowered Restonia crystals, so I didn't bother getting into that. I didn't think we really needed it right now. But I did get the drill mining augment 1 on here. So obviously you can see it has a 3 on it. The next one for augment number 2 has a 5. That is the area that it will actually mine out. So we have a 3x3 area that our drill will actually mine out, which is pretty nice. And in order to see these augments on here, you shift and you right click with your drill in hand. You can see we have speed augment 1, speed augment 2, and then drill mining augment 1 as well. So if we come down here, let's say, and we want to take out this spot right here, we can easily get a 3x3 going. Now, if you only want to do a single block, which you want to make sure that you do sometimes, because it can be tricky, you can easily destroy a lot, because by default it's set to that 3 if you have it on there. You can shift and then mine out items. And then similarly, if you want to vein mine or ore mine or whatever you want to call it, you need to shift, hold down your button for the ore mine or the or excavate, whatever you want to call it, and then mine with it. So you're holding down 2 buttons basically. So if you're not a fan of the 3x3, I would recommend just not putting it onto your drill. Now here we go. This is the other big thing that we got up and going on our stream. Now this is a mob farm. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy to make, nothing too fancy, I would say. Let's see, is our F1 working today? Wow, our F1 is actually working fairly well recently, which I'm actually quite surprised on. But yeah, so this is a nice little mob farm here. And basically all it is some of this dark, ineffable glass. That's a mouthful. Which is actually, it's not too hard to make, but it does take a decent amount of resources. So basically you just take dark glass from extra utilities around a moonstone. A moonstone is this lunar reactive dust around a diamond or an unstable ingot. I just recommend using diamonds. And then this stuff, you just take lapis in your resonator and you can get that. We use that for our lunar solar panels as well. So you get those, got to get a couple of those moonstones. So it'll take a decent amount of materials. And then dark glass is just thickened glass with a black dye. I just use ink sacs because we have plenty of them. And then this thickened glass is just sandy glass smelted up, and sandy glass is just like so. Pretty straightforward. Now, what is special about this dark ineffable glass? Well, you can walk through it. As you can see, we can walk through it, but mobs cannot go through it at all. Which is really, really cool to be able to have that option for this setup, because obviously mobs are going to be in there. We're probably going to want to go in there from time to time to maybe change things, adjust things, whatever it may be, and this gives us the option to do so. Now for me, I did make 2 whole walls of it, so it did take a lot of resources, but for you, maybe you don't need that much. So just keep that in mind. But what it also does is once you go inside here, obviously we have our lights on, but if we turn these off, it makes it pitch black. It does not let any external light in here, which is perfect for mob spawning, just in general. Now coming back in here, we use some scorned bricks on the floor, some different chiseled dark oak wood planks on the walls here. We obviously have our redstone lamps up in the ceiling. Those are just some simple redstone setup. Nothing too crazy, just ran some normal redstone dust up through the wall here with our lever here. Again, nothing too crazy. Wanted to keep some of this stuff fairly simple. Now the next 2 components are pretty straightforward. We've done a mob farm like this before on our MC Eternal playthrough, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. If you guys do want a more in-depth look at it, let me know in the comments down below. I could dedicate some more time to going through it. So right here we have a mob duplicator, and then right over here we have our mob crusher. So basically this mob duplicator, and I believe I've actually looked at this before on video, what it will do for you is when provided with power, essence, and an entity in a mob imprisonment tool, it'll spawn them around this block, which is pretty cool. So for us right now, I have the mob imprisonment tool in here with actually one of those mama spiders that spawn the little brown ones with it, which are extremely annoying. I have one of those in here. Obviously we have some essence in here. I'll show you how we get that in just a minute. And then obviously power. Now for us, we have a different radius than what the normal block will have. So the normal block is only going to spawn mobs on this singular spot right here, which doesn't offer a lot of space for multiple mobs to spawn because it's only one block. So what you got to do is you have to get a range add-on. Now there's a whole slew of these range add-ons. As you can see right here, ranging from 1 all the way up to 12, which is quite a big space, and they don't necessarily work in the way that you would think they would work. It's a little bit confusing. Well, for us, we kind of tinkered with it and we realized a 3 range add-on would be perfect. So when we put this on, you can see the green line here spanning all the way around the perimeter of the room. That means we are totally utilizing all of the space that we have made here, which is perfect. So that's basically all it is for the mob duplicator. Now, the mob crusher is the other thing. Now, the mob crusher is, I would say, relatively self-explanatory on what it does. But I'll run through a little explanation here. So When provided with power, it'll kill any entity in front of it. It'll also collect the dropped items. It will transform experience orbs into essence. And then when you have the adult filter add-on, it will kill only adult mobs, which I don't know why you necessarily would want that. Maybe if you're farming, I don't know, like cows or pigs or sheep and you only want to kill the adults, like maybe, I don't know what the adult filter add-on would necessarily grant a benefit to, but it's just an option for it. So as you can see in here, we have a bunch of fluid essence. That's all the experience in here. Now don't worry, it does transform the experience into fluid essence, but you can still get solidified experience drops from this, which is awesome. Now, once again, we have a range add-on on here. So if we show the working area for this mob crusher, it's only going to work in this space here. So 1 block in front of it, which is not that great. Now, we could have set up like water and stuff like that to have all of the mobs funnel to this, if that's what we wanted to do. Or if you only wanted to use the mob crusher and you didn't want to necessarily use a mob duplicator, if you had a spawner, you could have water filter down to a single block here, or have them drop down to a single block here and have the mob crusher kill them. But again, to each their own. I kind of prefer this setup. And we also needed to have our range add-on so we have a bigger space to cover our whole entire surface area. So as you can see, there's a slight white line all the way around the perimeter there that shows us, hey, we're good to go. We have enough coverage. Now the next big thing that we had to set up is downstairs. So we go down here, and as you can see, it's not very pretty right now. It's just kind of in the primitive stages of getting item sorting set up and everything like that. But for us, what we do is we have fluid ducts running out of our mob crusher here. You do need to put a servo on it. Don't forget that, and make sure that it is set to redstone ignored, otherwise it's not going to work. So I have fluid ducts running all the way from our mob crusher to our mob duplicator, transferring that fluid essence, which is what the mob duplicator needs, well, part of what the mob duplicator needs to actually produce the mobs. So pretty straightforward. Now, the other thing you do want to be cautious of with the mob duplicator, and if you're running pipes underneath it, is your working area. For us, our working area where the mobs could potentially spawn is right to this block right up here. So if any of these blocks where it shows green were open, a mob could spawn in there. And you don't want that. That's what happened to us on stream. I didn't account for it. And we had a bunch of those spiders spawning down here, and that's actually how we ultimately died. So again, just keep that in mind if you're setting something up. Make sure that your piping is far enough down where mobs aren't going to be spawning, or you have it set up on items that mobs cannot spawn on. The next thing you're going to want to set up from your mob crusher are some item ducts. So for us, we have some upgraded item ducts here to increase speed, and then we have a reinforced servo on here. Again, similar situation. Make sure it's set to ignored, otherwise it's not going to work. Now this reinforced servo allows a faster output of items, which is awesome because this thing goes through mobs like butter. They just continuously get killed and all their items get picked up. And it can really overwhelm this internal buffer because it's only so big. So having an upgraded piping system here definitely helps items flow a little bit better. Now for us, we just have it pumped out and into a small storage crate for the time being. Just because, again, it's kind of in the primitive stages of having storage set up. Now, realistically, you can pump this in to have a huge drawer system where it's filling all the different drawers with the different items that you can get. You do want to keep in mind, though, that these loot bags, they do not work well. Wow, actually, from that legendary bag, we got a whole set of diamond armor. That's kind of crazy there. But the loot bags do not work well with our basic drawers. At least from my experience, I tried to put them in there. They will stack up, but one bag counts as one stack. So if you can only hold, let's say in this one, we can hold a stack limit of 256 times 32 or whatever it is. Like it will only hold up to that stack amount. It's not like it'll go, oh, 64 is a stack of loot bags. No, one loot bag equals one stack because it's basically saying that is one item placement or one item block. So keep that in mind. I recommend just not putting loot bags into here. Keep them in a crate or honestly get a bag opener up and going, which is something that I want to get into. The only hard thing that we have to get to is a hungry chest. We just have to get the research for a hungry chest. But anywho, anyway, I digress. So we have our system set up here, very primitive, and you could honestly start like this too. And as long as you have a setup like this, you can easily turn it on and off as you need. So that's what I have right now. I have it off because realistically, I don't need it running all the time because it does generate a lot of items. It can backlog things. It could lag your game. If you're on a server, it could lag the server. So personally, I just run it on an as needed basis. And even on my MC Eternal playthrough, I did the same exact thing. I would not run it for a very long time, or if I did, I would be around my base, making sure I'm kind of watching over things. So like I said, we do have a primitive mother spider in here. So what we can do is we can click this bad boy on. It's going to start getting loud, but we can go upstairs and we can see everything work its magic. And it's pretty crazy with these guys, especially because these mobs spawn not only the mother spider, but all of those baby spiders as well. So you're basically, for one mob spawn, you're getting multiple mob spawns. Now, the other thing that I did notice is that, one, if you have a ring of magnetization on, it can mess up the system. So make sure you don't have that on. Otherwise, a lot of these items are going to be pulled towards you rather than into the actual mob crusher itself. And then the other thing is that, yeah, actually, I think that's about it. So that was the one thing that you want to just keep an eye on, is that you don't have a ring of magnetization on, so it's not pulling all of the items to you. And this is probably one of the best things. Now, the other thing too that I am forgetting to mention is from watching this with different mobs in it, it does not look like compressed mobs will break apart into their different compressed lower compression items, or mobs, I should say, if that makes sense. So basically, a compressed mob will have, what, 8 or 9 additional mobs that spawn when you kill that compressed mob. For this, it doesn't seem like it actually spawns those additional mobs. So just something to keep in mind. Maybe more testing is needed with that, but for me, that's what I noticed. Now, as you can see, we just ran that for a little bit, and look at all the stuff we already got. We got so many loot bags. We got tons of Inferium Essence, bunch of string. That's the one thing you get a lot of from this, is string. And then just a bunch of miscellaneous other things. And you obviously can put any mob in there that you really want, and it's going to work relatively the same. So, for example, I have another imprisonment tool with an Ender Mini in it. Now, actually, not a lot of people probably know what these are, because honestly, I didn't see them until just recently. So an Ender Mini is basically just a 1 block high Enderman, which is pretty cool. So we can throw these guys in here, and obviously we'll get different loot out of them. So you can see them just getting taken out pretty easily from this, and they will spawn, or they will drop, Ender Pearls, just like an Enderman would. So again, you can tailor this to be what mob you want the drops from. So for now, I'm just leaving our spider in there because really that's probably our best bet. We're going to get the most bang for our buck from that one. Now, as you can see, I did chisel out a decent area over here. And honestly, we can go like this and go this way a little bit, and we can take out even more space. So you can see the 3x3 working its magic here. And then all I wanted to do was get a decent screenshot for our thumbnail. I think that'll be pretty good. Maybe I'll stand like this too. There we go. So yeah, that is most everything that we have done. Obviously, we've left some space here to expand more, and now obviously showing you how this 3x3 works even more, you can see that we have even more space to expand out here with different things. Now again, you can realistically expand this area down here with more storage, get some drawers up and going, and so on and so forth. But again, just be careful of the loot bags. Now, the other thing that we did get up and going that I did not show in the last episode, but it was actually there in the last episode, was the rain shield. Now, this is pretty awesome because far too often, rain becomes a big nuisance in Minecraft. There's no doubt about it. And unfortunately, not all the time you can sleep through the night because it'll be raining during the day, maybe you miss it, whatever it might be. So this nice little gadget will basically prevent rain in a 5-chunk radius around it, which is awesome. And it's actually relatively easy to make. All you need, a little bit of netherrack, 1 blaze rod, and some flint. You should easily be able to get all of that. You just place it in a centralized spot around your base here. I have mine right on top of our void ore miner building, and it prevents rain in a wide radius, which is really, really nice. And honestly, I forget about it at times, but then I'll go out and do a little bit of adventuring and I'll run into rain and I'll be like, well, it wasn't raining back at my base, but then I'll realize, yes, we do have that rain preventer up and going there. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to do 1 or 2 more things and I'll bring you back to show you what we got going on. All right, guys, so the last thing that I want to do in today's episode is get some items from Thaumcraft up and going so that we can continue on the path of Thaumcraft, so that we can get that hungry chest going so we can better deal with a lot of our loot bags. I feel like our loot bags have kind of become kind of a nuisance to have to go through. We do get a lot of items from them, but it does take a lot of time to sit and manually click through every single one. Now, I did show you earlier in the episode about this bag opener. You do need sextuple compressed cobblestone, but if you have a cobblestone generator, it shouldn't be too bad to get those up and going. The cold iron ingot, I'll let you on in a little secret here that Kevin will probably nerf eventually, maybe not. But you can easily make these without actually getting into Bewitchment, because these are from Bewitchment. What you can do is you can actually purchase cold iron nuggets from the shop for 50 coins each. So you just buy 9 of those, craft them up into that ingot, and you're good to go on that respect. Now, the only other thing, obviously, is the hungry chest. So this in Thaumcraft is pretty straightforward to make, as you can see. Just some great wood planks and a trap door. Takes a little bit of Terra and a little bit of Aqua Vis. Easy to get, but you have to get the research done for it first. So for us, as you can see, we're in here. We have everything in here. We have the right amount of Aqua. We have the right amount of Terra, but we can't make it because we don't have the research done for it. So to progress down the Thaumcraft path a little bit more, I want to get our scribing tool up and going and then our research table up and going. So a scribing tool is used to create theories on research tables and to create celestial notes alongside paper in the player's inventory. Now these are pretty easy to make, and I was just killing some squid there so that we actually had enough resources to get it. So just like so, or can we not use, oh, that is right. We have to use black artificial dye. That was what the issue was that I was running into, is that we cannot just use any normal dye. So we might have to pump the brakes on this a little bit. I will show you though that this mana in a bottle I probably picked up along the route, along the way somewhere in a loot chest. But these are pretty straightforward to make. You just take a glass bottle in your mana pool, and then this mystical feather is just prosperity shards around a normal feather. Pretty straightforward to make. Now this black artificial dye is a little bit harder to do because you do need a dye mixer, which we actually did get up and going. They're pretty easy to make. Again, highly recommend just using steel casings. And then obviously you need some blue dye, some green dye, and red dye, and a little bit of plastic and a gold gear. Now we had all that, and I did get it set up way on the other side of our base where we were actually, we had our automated plastic farm going. Well, semi-automated, I would say. So we come back over here. It's this machine right here where we were chilling at the start of the episode. So we have our dye mixer here. Now these things are actually pretty interesting. If we go into the actual industrial foregoing manual, we can read up on the dye mixer. So it'll produce dye more effectively than normal crafting. Give it red dye, green dye, and blue dye. It'll fill the color buffers. When given a laser lens, it will focus that color and produce the specified dye. Now for us, we need black. So we need a black lens. Not the black laser lens, and we don't need the this inverted one. I don't think we need the inverted one. I think we just need a normal black laser lens, which is a little bit unfortunate because in order to get that up and going, you just need a glass pane. It can be any glass pane and then pink slime. So really we need to be going and we need to be getting more pink slime. And we actually need more pink slime to even just upgrade our storage remote. So with that being said, let me get some more pink slime. And then once we have that, I'll bring you on back and hopefully we can get some artificial dye up and going. All right, guys, we should have everything that we need now. The other thing I would like to say in regards to the mob spawner over there, the mob duplicator, if you need pink slime, it can be a pain in the butt to get it because you have to spawn a pink slime every single time you want it. And if you don't have looting, you could have a chance of getting only one pink slime ball from killing it. So I would recommend spawning one in, taking a mob imprisonment tool, and grabbing that pink slime and holding on to it because you can duplicate it in the mob duplicator. And then you can get a good amount of pink slime. Like for us, I probably did it for maybe just a couple of seconds, maybe 10 seconds tops, and I got 58 pink slime from it, which is pretty crazy, to say the least. So we should be able to take a normal glass pane, or do we have to make it, we might have to make it a dark one. Alright, so let's make some dark glass. Of course, I don't have enough glass, as per normal. I got plenty of sand though, so let's throw some of this stuff in here. And that'll start getting pumped into there, so we should be able to make some dark glass. Just like so. All we need is 8, but it'll give us 16. And then we should be able to get our black laser lens. Now if we come out here, we're trying this for the first time. If I put this in here, it gives us our black artificial dye, which is awesome. So that's exactly what we needed. So we should be able to get our scribing tools up and going just like so. That'll complete our quest right there, which is perfect. And then the next one is getting a research table up and going. So research table is used to create theories for use in research. It's created by right-clicking wood table filled with table with filled scribing tools. So that's what we have. Now we can read through all of this, but basically all I'm going to do for the time being, because we are running pretty tight on our episode here, I'm going to click our wood table over there with this, get it up and going, and then maybe in the next episode we'll get a little bit further into Thaumcraft and progressing down its path. So we have our wood table here. If you are interested on how you make the wood table, it's just some great wood slabs and great wood planks. So pretty straightforward to do. And then we should be able to take this, right click, and we have our research table, just like so. So guys, with that being said, we're going to wrap up the episode. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like down below, or better yet, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking on this series. If there's anything specific you'd like to see, I'd love to hear what your thoughts overall are. If you're new to the channel, you want to follow along, hit that subscribe button and bell notification. It'll let you know every single time a new episode is posted to the channel. I do stream over on Twitch. If you don't want to miss out on anything that could be happening over there or with this save file, I highly recommend going and following me over there. You can also recap on previous streams there as well. I also have my Discord link down below, and that'll keep you up to date on anything new that's going on with the channel, with the stream, whatever it may be. So guys, with that being said, I appreciate you sticking through till the end so very much. I will catch you all in the next one. Take it easy.